is we're going to connect some of our new information today with some of the concepts that we talked about earlier in the year. If we remember when we talked about Black Lives Matter, we learned about terms like justice and injustice. We even used the word dehumanize again this morning when we were reading these descriptions about how slaves were sold at auction when they reached the United States. So what we're going to do is we're going to revisit our definitions that we created a while ago.
Some people actually liked having slaves, to own slaves, because they worked for them. And some people were just afraid to speak out for them or do anything to help them.
I can't imagine how it would be like if my family was gone. Like, if you just separated from your family, you're separated, you can't do anything.
I think fourth graders are at a really interesting developmental place where they are no longer as egocentric as they are in first grade or second grade. They're really starting to develop their abstract thinking, and they're really starting to question what is my place in relationship to my peers, my family, and my outside community. And their world just continues to get bigger. I would like you first to turn and talk to the person next to you, and I want you to answer this question. What do we already know about being an ally or an advocate?
I actually didn't know what allies, advocates, and bystanders were before.
A bystander, it means, so for an example, someone is getting bullied and another person sees that but they don't do anything.
It does feel really, really hard when you're being bullied because it just screams out, hey, you don't fit in, I don't want to be nice to you at all.
It makes me feel disappointed, and it makes me feel unsafe in the community.
You see something that you know is wrong, but you don't do anything about it, it's just going to continue.
It's important not to be a bystander because then it will encourage the bullies.
The piece about being an ally and being an advocate really came from students continuously questioning, well, what can I do? What are things that we can do? I want to do something.
An ally means to be a person that stands up for a cause even though it doesn't involve them.
An advocate, it's sort of like an ally, but the cause could affect them, and also they are more public. They speak out.
Being an ally would also be saying, how do you feel? Or do you need some company? I've had something similar happen to me. Maybe you could try this.
Mama, Papa, the soldiers are coming to our house. They didn't answer me. No one. So this morning, we took a look at this book, Jars of Hope, where we learned about a woman who saved 2,500 Jewish children during the Holocaust.
So you have someone, if you save that person's life, you save their universe,
You know, these students are 9, but we live in a very fast-paced society where they're bombarded with messages on social media, on billboards, radio.
I mean, seeing all these videos of people getting discriminated because of their race, religion, orientation, it really changes my perspective of life.
They bully the first person they see that are different from them. And it's just that could be anyone.
But I don't know why people get picked on just because they look different than others.
It's kind of confusing sometimes. I had stories from students who were able to give examples about times when they witnessed racism happening towards another student or towards an adult, and they didn't know how to process or understand it. So it really just reinforced the idea that we need to talk about these things because we need to give them context, we need to give them tools and strategies about what to do if they're on the receiving end of certain kinds of discrimination or unfair treatment, and what they can do for peers or friends or even people they don't know when they're witnessing these events. What is the dividing line between putting your nose into other people's business where you don't belong and standing up for someone even if the problem doesn't concern you personally?
But that's actually how I felt before I learned about being an ally, and when I was still a bystander, I thought, but it's not my problem, and if I go in there, I might be bullied too. That's how I thought.
I think it's hard when you're in these really formative years and you worry very much about what your classmates and your friends think of you. It's hard to be that one person, but I think with exposure and with practice, it's something that, any student can achieve. So we have this group of 5th graders who are standing up for one of their fellow classmates. Why?
Because he was getting picked on because he has kind of a learning disability.
The abolitionists and the people from the Danish town we read about, did they have to help?
No.
Why might you choose to step in?
Why would you make that decision if you could easily walk away and say it's not my problem?
I want them to recognize that there are wonderful things about our community and society, and I want them also to recognize that there are things that still need improvement, that our country and our community is still evolving, that it's not set in stone, and that when you care deeply about something, you have the power to make an impact and to make change.
Now, $1 million question. How can you become an ally? Gwen, thank you.
You don't have to start off being like a really big ally like Martin Luther King or something. You can start with the small things like helping and pick up the trash, and also you can help other people.
They've really internalized these messages and really thought about, what would I do in certain situations, and like what is right versus what is easy, and like what choice would I make.
It's important to be an ally because then the allies will outnumber the bystanders, and there's going to be more people telling the bullies to stop.
You're helping people, and it makes them feel good and you feel good. The people who witnessed seeing you do that correct choice, other people would want to also do it, and it can also help the community.
And you're like, oh, this is kind of like a domino effect. I really like this. I'm going to continue this.
I think people of older generations, like even including myself, we didn't grow up having these conversations in school, so the idea of approaching it with kids seems very foreign and very scary.
If we were in the middle, like surrounded by people, like half from the Underground Railroad section, half from the Holocaust section, if they were happening at the same time, because I'm pretty sure they weren't, and if they were in the same place, like, where would you go?
I think, Gwen, that would mean that you would probably be even in more danger because people would be targeting you not only based on your race, but also on your religion.
Even though we're only 4th graders, we can take in a lot.
And a few times it was a little bit difficult to hear all of this because I was just like, I'm learning all of this and I could have been treated like this.
I feel like I can still handle it though, because then I know like what's right earlier.
Because then once we go into adulthood, we wouldn't know what to do, so we need like kind of prepare ourselves. You need to know what a bystander is to know, oh, I'm being a bystander.
The work and the lessons I've done have the ability to show that even with the most complicated concepts, there are always access points for students to engage and for students and children to connect with.
Even if you get teased too, if you're trying to be an ally or an advocate for someone, it's worth it. It's worth it because it's the right thing to do, and we hope
it's the right thing to do, and you would like it if it was you.
So, we are nearing the end of this unit. So in about half an hour or so, one group's gonna head over to Miss Lindsay's class and we're gonna do our first round of presentations. Now, understand, it's not gonna be perfect, it's okay. We have a lot of room for trial and error, but we're gonna take the next 30 minutes or so. As a teacher, you hold such immense power. You have the power to instill a love of something or an aversion to something for years, if not for someone's entire life.
The PSA we made was something that we wanted to help the 2nd graders learn more about allies and advocates.
Think about lessons that even I might have given you that you were super not into and why that might be, and other lessons and activities we've done that you were very engaged with and what made it so engaging.
We read it to the 2nd graders and it felt really good just teaching someone else what it means.
Being an ally to students who are different makes them feel welcome and safe in their space. If a student is being picked on for being different, being an ally means that you can change their entire day and help them look forward to being at school.
We just felt really proud after it was over because, it feels really good to share what we learned with other people.
When I have written these types of lessons and I know what concepts I want to walk into the classroom and talk about with my students that day, I'm so excited to get out of bed in the morning. Like, I can't wait to have these discussions with them and see what they think.
In conclusion, the more small things you do to help others, the bigger an impact you can make.
Yeah, I'll really miss them a lot at the end of this year, for sure.